Hey guys, special episode, how to fix America. So, I made this post on Twitter and I want to go over each of the points because I think this is the recipe. Now, will anybody follow this? Probably. I'm a zero chance. But might as well put down in paper what I think we should shoot for. So, my first wish list is to make Bitcoin legal tender. Now, what does that mean? That means that we can have, say, credit card statements that are denominated in Bitcoin, that I can send Bitcoin to pay for things, that I have prices in Bitcoin, and that I'm not going to have to report different things in Bitcoin for every transaction from a capital gains perspective. So I can do lots of transactions in Bitcoin. That will not stop it. Now, if we did this, some people have said, well, nobody is going to use it. I disagree. I think some people will use it. And I think this is the step to going to hyper-Bitcoinization. Is just make Bitcoin legal tender in America. If nobody uses it, great. Nobody, doesn't matter. If some people start using it, good. I think it's going to be great. So that's step number one. Number two on my list is get rid of the SEC. I mean, the SEC was formed in the 30s. I understand its original intent. I mean, it's almost 90 years old. Do we need it right now? I don't think so, actually. I don't think we need it for insider trading, for all the things it's doing. I feel like it's not really a worthwhile thing to keep this thing going. So I would just get rid of the SEC and let the market sort these things out. Not a needed entity in my opinion. Number three, capital gains. So I very strongly believe that we should cut capital gains to zero. If you want to encourage businesses, if you want to be a business, have a lot of business success, cut capital gains to zero. You're going to have amazing results. On the reverse of that, Biden's idea to double capital gains is just an absolute disaster. It will cause enormous economic pain. So number three, cut capital gains tax to zero. Number four, a little bit more controversial, but get rid of the Fed. I mean, the Fed was only around since 1913, so it's been around for 100 years. We don't need it. We really don't need the Fed doing all its shenanigans, coming up with all these different ways to rescue banks and do all this stuff. It's just, we don't need it. Again, let the bad banks die, let the good banks consolidate. The Fed should stop all of its stuff, and we'll just move on to a Bitcoin standard, and that's fine. We don't need this Fed to do what it's doing, or severely downsize it. Number five. Massively cut down on regulation. Like there's all kinds of rules and regulations for everything, for every kind of activity right now in America, and just the sheer volume of these regulations are killing us. So we need just a massive cut down on regulations. Number six. We got to cut down on tighten the borders big time. This is ridiculous. You can't have people just walking over the borders. This is ridiculous. If you don't have borders, you don't have a country. I agree with that. With Trump saying that and Elon, it's ridiculous. You just can't have these fluid borders. That's just ridiculous. Number eight, stop foreign aid. America should deal with America. America should not be sending aid over to wherever it is, Israel, Ukraine. I don't care. Like we have no need to send aid anywhere. We don't need it. Number 8, stop all foreign interventions. We're way too trigger happy intervening in places like Syria or even Ukraine or anywhere. Like America should focus on defending America. That's it. Number 9. Reform the legal system. I think our legal system is insane. There are more lawyers out there than ever before. We anybody can sue anybody. There's all these contingency lawyers out there. We got to make it so that you can't do these frivolous lawsuits. We have to reform the legal system, and I think it's a big priority. Number 10, climate change. This is crazy to focus our country on climate change. And I was talking to Mark Jeffrey about this. It's sort of like, this isn't something you can do at the level of a country even. I mean, if India and China are not cooperate, then anything we're doing is just like virtue signaling is ridiculous. So I just think we should stop all this effort on climate change. It's not worth it. Number 11, encourage new energy sources. So listen, everything at the end of the day, it comes from energy. We need to find new energy, whether it's better versions of solar energy, whether it's nuclear fission, nuclear fusion. Eventually we'll have antimatter and other other sources. But we need energy. We can't just like tighten our belts and virtue signal. No, and we need energy to grow, and we need to find new energy. So the government has to be pro-energy. Number 12, balance the budget. I mean, this is something that Reagan was completely right about. We need a balanced budget amendment. We just can't run these deficits the way they're done. And I would be really hard on this. I'd be much more hard on that than on inflation. I would say the number one thing America has to do is balance its budget. And then, if we inflate a little bit, we inflate a little bit. So what? America should never go further into debt. This is just not acceptable. Number 13, healthcare. We have to open healthcare up to free market forces. I read this great book on healthcare written, I don't know, a couple decades ago called Where Does It Hurt by George Bush's nephew. And look, it's a fact that MRIs should cost $10, not $1,000 or $2,000. So our healthcare industry is complete and utter train wreck, and it's a train wreck because it's an oligopoly, and these healthcare providers and these insurance companies are gouging people, and there's no competition. So we have to open it up to free competition. We have to make it much more. Again, it goes back to the regulation. We have to massively cut down on regulation and open everything up to free market, and stop this, just insanity at the healthcare level. Number 14, we have to make sure we can defend ourselves. So, America has the strongest military in the world right now. I'd like to keep it that way. I don't want to run into a situation where either the Soviet Union or Russia or China has a material advantage over us. So I don't think we need to go into an arms race, but I do think we need to be on parity with everybody else, at least for defending our own borders. Number 15, I think we need reasonably strong police and law support. Now, I was having a conversation with a friend earlier today, and look, we're talking about Singapore. Singapore is people complain a little bit about the authoritarianism of Singapore, but it's a perfectly safe environment, and our cities are going to shit right now. So we're allowing people to walk into stores and walk off with under $1,000 worth of merchandise. We can't have that. If we allow that, this is a path that leads nowhere good. So we need strong police. We need basic respect for law. And that's just very basic. Again, it's sort of like the borders. These are 101. These are basics. We need just clean streets, safety, no crime. and we need to prosecute people who are criminals, and it has to be bad. Number 16, we have to end this wokeism. This is ridiculous. It got out of hand in the last 10 years. It really has gone out of hand, and we can't be just virtue signaling like this and making bad decisions because of it. Not good. So, number 17, let the private market solve things. At the end of the day, the government should be small. It should get out of the way. It should provide safety. It should provide safety at the individual level and at the national level for defense. But it does not need to make initiatives. It doesn't need to build stuff. None of that stuff should happen at the government level. And so we should really encourage the private market to do what it's great at doing, and let the bad ones fall where the bad ones fall. Let's let evolution take over, and we're going to have great things. The government on its own will never come up with great ideas. It's like asking people running the DMV to come up with a great startup. They'll never do it. Number 18, a flat 20% tax. So, we can debate how this tax should be, but we have to dramatically simplify the tax code. And I'm in favor of just a flat tax. So I think you should be, this is how much I made, multiply it by 20%, that's how much I pay. And we have to stop all this insanity of alternative minimum tax and, this deduction, that deduction. All that stuff has got to go. And we've just got to dramatically simplify it and make a flat tax. Number 19, I think we need some form of UBI. So some kind of threshold where if you're a valid American citizen, and again, this only works if we have tight borders, you are guaranteed some level of subsistence. And I don't think it should be a lot. I put a number up there, $20,000. Maybe it's less. Maybe it's $15,000. But a year, and maybe it's $1,000 a month. But I think some form of minimum should be available. Now, if you work and you work a little bit, you should be that has to be incremental to that. You can't ever have a situation where it's less good to work than to get the UBI. So even if I work part-time, I need to be able to increase off that number, right? And so the tax rate has to manage off that. So you cannot have a situation where people are incentivized not to work. Number 19, or number 20, Social Security. I just think this was a bad idea when it came out. It's now kind of a drug, and so we have to kind of wane our way off of Social Security. And I would just phase the thing out over a 20-year period. It's not going to make it even to 20 years. It's going to start running out of money, but we got to plan in the obsolescence of Social Security. Anyways, that's my dream list. So political agenda. Of course, none of this is going to happen. So in the absence of none of this happening, buy Bitcoin. Thank you.